But if America is a superpower, then why can't it defeat Iran and declare victory?
First thing first, those who feel that Iran has repelled American and Israeli attacks are delulu. Let me ask you, can any country on earth absorb relentless hammering from the world's most lethal armada ever assembled in decades? Clearly not. Make no mistakes, Iran has suffered unimaginable damage to its military infrastructure. Its supreme leader was eliminated on day one. Only a superpower can achieve that kind of outcome. The US also bombed Iran's Kharg island, where most of its oil reserves are. So, why is the war not over yet? That's because victory demands clear strategic thinking. What's the goal of Operation Epic Fury? Let me answer that in a minute. There are few things that we need to consider. Number one, is the goal of the operation regime change? It hasn't happened. Is the goal of the operation preventing Iran from getting a nuclear bomb? That hasn't happened because the uranium reserves are still intact in that country somewhere underground. And for those to be recovered, the US will have to send ground troops. And that's a risky affair. Yes, one thing that has happened indeed is that Iran's navy, it seems, has been destroyed. And its ballistic missiles are also being spent by Iran and destroyed by the US and Israeli forces. On the other hand, Iran has been able to achieve two goals: drawing international attention by targeting airports and embassies and American bases in the Gulf region, and more importantly, blocking the Strait of Hormuz and thus choking 20% international oil supply. How can then Trump declare victory at this moment?
Has the US not learned any lessons from the Iraq war, I wonder? And why does it not pursue international diplomacy instead of going to wars? And what are the lessons it has learned from the Iran war?
Iraq was more than 20 years ago, and the world has changed a lot since then. Leaders have changed, politics have changed, but you are right that the US does not seem to have changed much. Why does US not try diplomacy, you ask? Because it can simply choose to go to war as and when it feels like starting one. You must remember how Trump started the Board of Peace, clearly as an alternative to the United Nations. There is no point dwelling over it. Diplomacy is America's pastime. American presidents often have this tendency to use the country's muscle to deliver quick outcomes. They have presidential elections every 4 years and midterms every 2 years. So the political pressure to deliver is real. Will the US learn lessons from Iran war? No, I don't think so. Definitely not in the near term. President Trump's approval ratings have not dropped since the war began. However, one thing is 100% clear. The US has expended a lot of political and diplomatic capital on Iran war. That reflects in its inability to draw support from its allies, the UK, Germany, Italy, Canada, Japan, etc. Trump keeps saying that he will remember who supported him. Probably Trump's allies, America's allies, have better bookkeeping skills. They must not forget 3 words, I'll say. Take note of this. Ukraine, tariffs, and this is most interesting, Greenland. So when you threaten your allies, when you pressurize them to strike deals, people will not support you.
Hey, I would like to know how will this war impact India's interest, especially in Gulf and its relation with US? Is it going to affect us negatively by any chance?
The stakes cannot get higher. There are nearly 9 million Indians in West Asia. Remittances are estimated at $50 billion a year. More than 20,000 Indian sailors are on merchant ships in the Gulf. 90% of India's LPG imports are from the Strait of Hormuz. India had also invested in Chabahar port. And it does not help when US officials say they will not make the same mistakes with India as they did with China. In fact, the US has opened new investigations against India, among other countries, to bring back tariffs. The trade deal has not been signed yet. On the other hand, India was able to secure the passage of 2 ships from the Strait of Hormuz. India has strong ties with Arab countries as well as Iran, even as it was seen as coming closer to the US in the past 2 decades. Trump administration's transactional nature has certainly made India walk a tightrope. But while the stakes are high, India does enjoy an enviable position courtesy its relatively neutral stance and good ties with both the US and Iran. And I believe once all the parties are willing to come to the table, New Delhi will certainly have a role to play in diplomacy. Battlefields rarely bring lasting peace. And let's not forget, Trump will also at some point want to strike a deal. And the framework of that deal will be closely scrutinized in New Delhi. And that will decide how India proceeds in international diplomacy henceforth.